Queer for me is just anything that's not straight, that's not part of the patriarchy, the existing heteronormative structure of the world. So it encompasses both sexuality and gender fluidity. Welcome to my studio. My partner and I share this space, and he has a studio downstairs and I have a studio in the back. My work is an amalgamation of my whole life, starting with drafting and drawing and moving through everything that I'm inspired to make with my hands. So whether it's things with wood, things with found objects, anything really. As you come in, the stuff on the walls is kind of the stuff that I've been working on for the past 2 or so years in my old space, which was a lot smaller. And so I was working two-dimensionally and small because that was kind of what I was restricted to. And we moved here, and all of a sudden I realized that I had been missing a large part of my studio practice. And so the sculptural work that you see here on the floor is the newest stuff. These are all individual pieces that I cut out by hand with a jigsaw and a drill. And then they get assembled together on the floor and then eventually make their way up onto the wall. You'll have super detailed paintings. This, for example, is based on a photo that Edward Muybridge did in the early 1900s as part of his motion series. And at the time, it was the beginning of photography, and he used these two nude male wrestlers just because he was photographing athletes. But if you take those images and you put them into the context of my work, suddenly the queer nature of it becomes way more apparent than in the original work. So I think that the lens of a queer artist helps to kind of redefine and reshape things that we've been seeing for 100 to 2,000 years in the canon of art. But in a subject that hasn't been talked about in terms of alternative sexualities. So here you can kind of get a sense of the full spectrum of my studio practice. So it begins with these drawings, which can be finished pieces or sometimes sketches for larger pieces. And then over here is the painted version of these drawings. Color is added, there's more of a universe being created. So everything starts with drawings like this. So here's an older one. This is the newest one that I'm working on right now. And I basically will start with, I'll draw the geometric element that I have. So in this case, it was this circle. And then I'll just kind of fill things in as I go, based on the current images I'm looking at and the subject of the current work. So in this case, it's this sassy little skeleton. And then I add them in according to the drawing, like the scale of everything, and then from there, I base all of the sculpture on the original found element, and then how big everything should be in order to match the drawing as closely as possible. And then behind me here is the door to the outdoor area where I have like the outside part of my studio. And there I'm able to drill, cut, spray paint, and do all these things to kind of turn what would be a small drawing into a full-size sculptural work that exists in the space with you. And then I'm hoping that this will be a way for people to envision and imagine the real big work that I'm looking to do, which is installation work and large-scale sculpture. So it kind of translates the drawing into something more real and more tangible. And I think that part of the strength of my work and the queerness of it even is that it's all so intimately done by hand. Everything from the moment that I start a sketch to the moment that I finish a sculpture and I hang it on the wall, or I finish an installation and it exists in a space, is all done by hand by me. These two hands from front to back.